Welcome to this episode of Mommy SeaStar. And if you've been following these violin lessons, this is the moment you've been waiting for, because today we're going to begin to learn a tune. We're going to learn Ode to Joy by Ludwig van Beethoven. Beethoven is a great composer to learn about in these times of the coronavirus because he overcame so many difficulties in his life. A very difficult childhood, traveling all over Europe, trying to measure up to be like the child prodigy Mozart, but he's a very different composer than Mozart. He lived around the same time. They're contemporaries, and they learned from each other. But Beethoven was moving into the romantic style of music, but his roots are in the past with the classical style of Mozart and Haydn. So a lot of times when we talk about classical music, medieval, Baroque, and classical, we talk about Haydn, Mozart, and the great Beethoven. So if you can learn about him during this time, it will help to inspire you. Later on in his life, he actually lost his hearing. Can you imagine going from being a concert pianist, which he was, to losing your hearing? And he overcame that through his compositions, his trust, his belief in God, and his prayer through music. Ode to Joy comes from his Ninth Symphony, his final symphony. It's the final movement of a huge piece. The entire piece is 45 minutes long. The Ode to Joy comes from the choral movement at the end of the piece, and it actually comes in with the cellos after a great tumultuous orchestral section, and then you hear coming underneath all of this beautiful, peaceful, the melody of the Ode to Joy coming in with the low strings, the cellos, and the basses. So I strongly recommend, if you haven't heard the entire Ninth Symphony, now is your time. But today, we're going to learn some of the notes on the violin, and with the goal of being able to play just the melody, the Ode to Joy. Let's tune up a little bit here. All right. So it's very important that you have a good technique with, of course, both hands. The left hand, you always want to have your wrist straight like this. And the violin is being supported, of course, by my shoulder and my chin, but also by this part of my hand right here, the base of my pointer finger. And then I'll turn around so you can see. So I'm just lifting it. I don't even have to use a whole lot of muscles. And then I'm going to use my thumb and place it right across from where I have contact with the neck. This is called the neck. And it's just like that. You don't want to squeeze. It's very bad for your hand if you squeeze. So try to be as relaxed as possible, both here and in your shoulder and here. You can practice in front of a mirror just to make sure, because the hand is naturally going to want to do this. And if you're playing like this, it's very unhealthy for your hand and your arm and your fingers. So this is the right way. Now I'm going to show you natural notes. The natural notes are the white keys on the piano keyboard. So if you want to check your notes, you can check them on the white keys of the piano. I'm going to just play the piece first. So in order to do that, you're gonna need your first finger. Now when we have no fingers down, by the way, this is called an open string. And your first note, the first note of this piece will be a B. So you can play along with this video. You put your finger down here. Make sure your finger is curved. Another thing, your finger is probably going to want to go like this. You want it to be curved like this. So here's A, here's B. I'll play it so you can find yours. And the next one will be C. C is your second finger, first finger, second finger, right next to each other. C. And then D will be the third finger. This might be a little tricky, so bring your hand nice and close to the neck, and there's a little space here. So the first part, you'll have these notes here. Let me do that again. And a third time. Okay, now this part is a little tricky, and so you can be very patient with yourself. This is the third finger on the D string, and it sounds like this. And that's the G. So when you go, you will cross over to this one. That's your G. I will play it a few more times so in case you're still looking for that note. And then you will need an open D, and you'll have all the notes that you need for that tune. So let me play it again and you can watch my fingers. Right, so practice that nice and slow. Take your time and enjoy the process. And I hope you get a good recording to listen to of the Ode to Joy. I recommend the Berlin Philharmonic for that. I'll see you next time.